Hello, folks, and welcome to 10 Points Under, the show where I'm constantly coming to terms with the fact that everyone's voice sounds better than mine. This is Big a Bullfrog coming at you today, and joining me again is Scaperedude. Scaperedude, one of my good friends, IRL. How you doing?
I am doing great. You know, it's nice being back here because I either did something very right or very wrong last time I was on. Either way, I'm happy to be here, though.
Yeah, you know, we won't talk about which one of those is correct, but yeah, it's good to have you back. This is actually really exciting. I think you'll be, if I'm looking at my timelines correctly, I mean, I'm starting to hit the point where I'm recording with more people again, but I think you'll be the first person, other than Doc, to be guest hosting twice on this show, so that's really exciting for you. Congratulations.
All right. I will add that to my list of life accomplishments right there.
There you go. And I guess other than True, well, although True wasn't really guest hosting, I don't know. It's, you know. But,
right.
Yeah, really excited to have you in again. Really enjoyed talking with you last time, and I'm looking forward to doing this game with you.
No, and honestly, just looking at the board so far, this looks like it's going to be a really interesting matchup.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a good one. I'm really excited for this. We've got a lot of interesting figures going on. Speaking about interesting figures, quick disclaimer, if you and or those you love do not know any of the figures on the board, there are always links to the cards in the description below, so please check those out, especially because we've got some pretty cool ones going on today that you might not know as much about because they're a little bit more fringe. So, let's just go ahead and get in here and introduce the players and the armies. In the left start zone, we've got Superfrog. Oh, actually, first, just to preface this a little bit, this is continuing the reverse draft format. This is the format where both players bring an army, and then instead of like drafting figures into their army, they draft figures out of the stronger army and offer to play it. It's a little bit more intense. Again, if I'm thinking of my timeline correctly as far as releasing these videos goes, you can check out a previous video to see a more detailed explanation on how that happened. So I'm not going to go super detailed into it in this one because it didn't happen very much in this game. But over on the left, we've got Superfrog. He is actually playing the army that Dysole, the opponent, brought, or like created, but he ended up with it. And that army consists of Raylan the Curie Warrior, Rise of the Valkyrie version, the Izumi Samurai. Let's see, that's 4 squads of Banshees of Durgath Swamp, one of the C3V creations, along with Brontos, the Cyclops, another C3V creation. That's kind of a busy card, but it's also a really good one to check out because he's kind of quickly becoming one of my favorites. Just as far as fun factor goes, he does a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm sure we'll be able to see a good amount of that in this game. But that's Superfrog over there on the left in the yellow start zone. Over in the blue start zone, we have Dysole, another awesome Heroscaper. She is running an army of Raylan the Curie Warrior, Res the Valkyrie edition, Zetacron, Master Lao Jin, a C3V creation, along with 2 2/3 squads of Shaolin Monks. Now, there are 2/3 of Shaolin Monks because one Shaolin Monk, along with another C3V Monk, got dropped during the reverse drafting process as they were like weakening that army. Basically, they felt that army was stronger, and so Dysole was like, hey, I'll play this army, but I'll sit out Shaolin Monk and Chen Ting if you let me play it. And Superfrog was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And so that's where we are now. So, pretty interesting army matchup going on here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think comparing the two armies, I mean, we've got Raylan v. Raylan in this match. So we're going to have defense going crazy all over the place. And then Zetacron, we know that he has the deadly shot ability, which is going to make, it's going to make his attacks much deadlier. But then over on the other side with Brontos, and you were talking about this a little bit, I mean, he's got the Womp ability, which is essentially his own version of Deadly Strike, of the Deadly Shot. So you've got a lot of this kind of back and forth, kind of mirroring images, mirroring powers on both sides.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm really excited for this one. I think this is going to be a really good game. Pretty sure it's going to be. I heard a little bit about it. Again, I tried not to look too much into it in order to allow myself to be surprised when viewing the footage. But, we'll see how it goes. But I'll go ahead and get us a rocking and a rolling with this footage, and we can keep talking about this matchup here because I think, like you said, really interesting dynamics going on both sides. I think one of the most interesting parts is we've got two pretty aggressive main squads. Not that they necessarily dictate an aggressive play style, but Banshees are really good when you're able to jump out there, hit two figures, and then use Banshee Scream to automatically kill another figure. And the monks are good when they're able to hit a lot of different figures at the same time. So that means I think that both players are going to try to mitigate that offensive potential of their opponent as much as possible.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, the Banshees in a lot of aspects are somewhat of more of a glass cannon unit. But it'll be interesting when paired up with the monks because the Banshees are only a two-man squad. So the monks aren't going to have a ton of opportunities to just get off tons of attacks on tons of different figures. Simply because there's not, depending on how the game goes, there might not be just tons of Banshees everywhere.
Right.
And the Shaolin monks, I mean, that's an 80-point three-man squad. So those are some pretty juicy figures that those Banshees would love to take some shots at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely agreed there. Banshees are also pretty expensive too. Again, a lot of interesting mirrors going on here. Looks like we do have Zetacron opening up with a shot on a Banshee right from the get-go. This is a smaller map, so things should be, well, I don't know if they'll necessarily be super fast-paced, because it is a lot of melee versus a lot of melee. Zetacron is really the only ranged figure on the map, so he'll be able to dictate a lot of the pace of the battle.
Well, he's definitely utilizing that right off the bat.
Yeah, and I think that, especially on a small map like this, being able to get those early hits in and get that little bit of value in the early game is really, really nice. As well as being able to say, hey, you come to me.
I love getting to watch the Izumian play just because you don't see them all the time. But it looks like we may get to see a good performance with them today, especially if they're able to get up on some of those higher plateaus. And if we can see some of their counter-strike come into play against some of the monks, that would be interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're able to pull off here.
Yeah, I think those are one of those pretty good, original, unique squads that I feel like they get overshadowed a lot by common squads when players, really start to get into the game. But they're still really good. It's a really good card still, if you know how to use them.
That was an interesting shot there. That really could have been a game changer if it had gone differently.
Yeah.
I mean, almost losing Raylin on second order marker could have been huge.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. Again, Zetacron's one of my favorite figures just because of the shenanigans you can pull with it, saying, hey, come over here. He can dictate the pace of the battle. He can snipe Raylin, which is super fun. He can snipe, I've sniped Q9 with him before. Deadly Shot 8 range is crazy go nuts.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when you can get him up on height like that.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a lot of fun. I love what he's doing right now with Raylin, by the way. Just bringing her right in. And second, third order marker of the round. Already Raylin's positioned, Samurai are in position, and Brontos is sitting there with Raylin protection.
Yeah, so that's a really good spot.
He has right off the bat.
Yeah, just a really good, first couple turns from superfrog being able to position really well. Really good couple turns from Dysole in theory, in that she's had a lot of good shots. Unfortunately, she's now 0 out of 5 skulls for those past 2 turns.
I know, it could have paid off big time, but
yeah,
no, it's on a payback. And at this point now, Superfrog definitely has much better board control and is in position. And it's going to force Dysole to really, honestly, just figure out how to crack the pot a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she goes about doing that. Superfrog's really just doing this push for the middle tactic, which is working out. Fortunately for Dysole, she does have the range. Again, she's got the range in this game. And so if she doesn't want to attack that hill, she really doesn't have to. She can sit back with Zetacron. We'll see if she does that or if she feels like she's able to get in there quickly with monks. Because if monks get in there and have some good assaults, that can also be a game changer, although there's not a ton of room in the middle there to be able to get tons of multi-attacks off.
And that's very true, I think, with what you're saying with Zetacron. But I also think that with Superfrog having a good pot in the middle, it creates a great platform to just launch Banshees from.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of that balance will have to come through from maybe using Zedekron to take shots while Superfrog is still setting up, to then shifting into monks in order to defend from the Banshees.
I'm curious to see where Dysole is going to place Raylan.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder, do you think she moves Raylan at all, or I don't know if she even needs to. That's kind of a good spot in the start zone.
I would assume moving Raylan, except for there's just not really anywhere great to go at this point.
Right.
And then Raylan also has, I guess she does have a nice line of sight blocker right in front of her, but that doesn't really matter because Superfrog doesn't have that range.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Dysole doesn't really need to worry about hiding Raylan at all. So I think as long as she's using Zedekron to take pot shots, she's kind of forcing the battle anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, just kind of forcing Superfrog's hand.
Yeah, because the Banshees are pricey. Like, it hurts to lose those without them any value at all.
It really does. Finally, a hit from Dysole. Unfortunately, her hit does not go through. Well, unfortunately, fortunately. Depends on who you are and who you're rooting for. And Brontos going in.
And bringing the Izumi up.
Interesting. It's pretty good because that gets some Izumi position. Like, I don't know that you need to bring in Raylan too much more. I guess it depends on what you're planning for the future, but as long as Superfrog is just kind of assembling on that hill, he doesn't really need to worry about moving Raylan at all, because then that just makes it a little bit easier for Zedekron to shoot her. And Brontos could potentially just run right in there and smack Raylan or Zedekron.
Yeah, Dysole is just loving these pot shots on these Banshees.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do with Zedekron, is just sit back and take shots at my leisure and just force my opponent to come to me. And especially where, like, it's so much of a gamble if you try to race to the top. It's a good move from Dysole. And yeah, Superfrog going for the Raylan hit. Interesting. Oh, this could be big. Okay, 2 hits.
All right.
Interesting, though. I wonder if Superfrog should have brought, like, one of the samurai in with Brontos.
Yeah, the samurai definitely could have helped to lock things down a little bit.
Yeah, like, I don't know
Strike.
if he needs that, but I could see where it might be nice to have a samurai already up in the front. Maybe? Question mark? I don't know. That's an interesting thing to think about there.
All right, so we are rolling out with some monks now, which honestly I think is a good call because Brontos doesn't have crazy defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're just going to be able to pop off 3 attacks of 3. I mean, you've got your monk Quaglix gun going here.
Right. Yeah, and 3 skulls there, so the skulls are coming in for Dysole now. Yeah, Brontos, like, he's a big sack of hit points, but yeah, like you said, not very much defense going for him there. So you could take.
Look at that, skulls are coming out to play.
Yeah,
Ouch.
Holy cow, that's
Ouch.
3 hits on Brontos now. Okay, a 3-2-1 as far as skulls go. That's cute. But then now Dysole can also follow this up with a hit from Lao Jin, who has, what is it? I think it's Master Strike, where Lao Jin gets an automatic skull. Yeah. So that's another 2 hits right there. That's a hefty turn. And Superfrog going with the Banshees now. Interesting. Oh, if I was going to go in that aggressive with Brontos, I would have had another order marker on him.
Yeah, just because, I mean, you can see the Superfrog is going for the Warnock glyph, which is, it's good because it's OM3. But at most, Warnock is only going to bring you, 1 wound, potentially.
Right.
And in a sense, it's almost an exchange for 1 wound on Dysole for potentially what could be Brontos's, the life of Brontos.
Yeah, like, that's really... Because, I mean, it's not bad to develop Banshees at all, but... Yeah, I definitely think that if I'm Superfrog and I know that my order marker 3 is on Banshees, then I don't think I run in and attack Raylan right there. I think I just hold the high ground and then wait for the next round to go in and attack, because this could potentially be a wasted Brontos. I mean, obviously he was a little bit... Well, wait, hang on. He put 2 wounds on Raylan? So that's not bad as far as 1 attack goes, but only getting 1 attack with Brontos hurts a lot.
Oh yeah, that is painful. And I don't know, like, I feel like if there was a time to potentially move in Banshees, I know he had, I guess he did have 2 there in the pod. It wouldn't have been a terrible time because it is the end of the round, and there's a chance that you're able to pick up the initiative as well. But that's a little bit of a gamble there.
Oh, to like charge in and go with Banshees?
Go with Banshees to put the pressure on. But it's a gamble, and you're banking a lot on that winning initiative.
Yeah, I think, like, as far as Banshees, I mean, Banshees are pretty sharky, and I feel like that just kind of muddles your order markers on the front. Yeah, just seeing those order markers from the other side of the round now, I just think holding the high ground with Brontos and then just moving in more Banshees up top there, so that then next round you could blitz with Banshees or you could blitz with Brontos, whatever's your pleasure, but...
Yeah, I agree. Brontos is in a pretty precarious position right there.
Superfrog does pull off the initiative, though.
He definitely needed it.
Dysole looking into the lottery. So hopefully order marker 1 is on Brontos. So he'll be able to get a second attack in now. And if that attack kills Raylan, then he's in a pretty good position, but I feel like his Banshees are a little spread out, so he's not going to be able to apply as constant pressure as he'd like. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if this is just a recent focus of mine, or a recent obsession with mine, or whatnot. But I feel like a lot lately, both in casting videos that I've done as well as just talking with other people, I feel like I've been talking about just timing and pacing a lot, and I just don't love the pacing that Superfrog kind of put himself into, where his army's a little bit more spread out now.
Well, I think Superfrog had some great pacing in the beginning. Like,
right,
it was bold. It was a little bit gutsy, but it was just a strong hold that he had going. But I agree with you definitely now.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to decide his target. 3v6 on... I'm guessing he's talking about Lao Jin there, which would be nuts if he was able to get that kill on Lao Jin, but I think he's correct in that killing Raylan's better. Yikes.
All right.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted out of that turn.
No, he needed a little bit more oomph there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, even one more wound on Raylan would have been nice. I think ideally you get at least another 2, if not kill Raylan. But, you can't get too greedy with this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, so we are continuing with the Monk Quakelix of Death.
Yeah, just beating up on Brontos, punching him in the shins.
Hey, it's those shin shots. Those are the ones that get you.
I know, right? Let's go straight for those tendons. So we'll see how much Brontos is able to take. He does have 4 lives left, but he took 5 wounds in the previous turn. So I wouldn't say it's... Based on that, I wouldn't say it's super great odds that he survives this round of attacks. Although, I don't know, I think it's about 50-50 whether he takes 3 or 4 wounds.
So 2 hits going down right there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And there's the 3rd. So you just need 1 more from Lao Jin. That's 2 hit. Yep, down goes Brontos.
Ouch. Man, it's crazy just because that guy he's worth some serious points. Let's see. Brontos 175.
Mm-hmm.
And it's painful to see a 175 figure go down after just 2 order markers of action.
Right. Well, so he did have a little bit of utility in that he was able to bring up Raylan without using an order marker on Raylan. Also brought up an Izumi Samurai without needing another activation for the Samurai. So, like, there's a little bit more going on there, but yeah, that's it's not exactly... You'd hope for more value out of your 175 point figure. And, I mean, using him as an assassin is a decent use of his power set. In this matchup, I think it's a fine use of his power set. I think going for Raylan is fine, honestly. I just didn't like the timing, because having that attack with him and then missing another attack because your order marker was on the Banshees, I feel like that was just a little too disjointed.
I agree. Now, Superfrog, he did see it coming, so he did place his order markers on Banshees after that, which, good on him for at least kind of being able to see where that was going, but a little bit too little too late there.
Right, yeah. And he's really gunning for that wound glyph, which I guess is spreading out Dysole's forces a little bit. But I don't know. That doesn't seem like a super great play when Dysole can remove that Banshee so easily. But
Yeah,
maybe next
I don't know
round he
because
can.
it's also going to be really easy for Superfrog to then to come in and step up on that 2 height there and just pick off some monks pretty easily.
Right, yeah. So it's
So
kind of that interesting trade that happens when you've got two fast, high offense, low defense
yeah,
squads going on. But blocks the first attack, so that's really nice. Does not block the second, though. So, yeah, interesting development to this battle so far.
oh yeah, definitely. I'm curious to see what Dysole's next approach is going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Because definitely the monks can be played as a very offensive unit. I mean, we just saw her run down that Banshee up top, but I'm curious to see whether we'll see her, try to move Raylan around, or whether we're going to see her just continue to wait for Superfrog to come down to her.
I mean, I think in this position that Dysole's in, I think she just waits for Superfrog.
I agree.
If
I
I'm
agree.
being on, yeah, because making an assault up, I feel like that only tempts fate into throwing the game, whereas sitting back and waiting, I mean, I don't think Superfrog is out of the game quite yet. He still has, let's see, there's 4 Banshees, a full squad of Izumi Samurai. Mostly I'm thinking the Izumi Samurai do have potential. Like with Raylan, Izumi Samurai do
With
have the potential
Raylan there,
to...
those guys could be a tough cookie to crack.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially against so many melee forces for Superfrog, for Dysole. So I do think there still is potential for Superfrog in the game, but Dysole just completely has the advantage where she's at right now. So yeah, I'm not surprised that she's retreating those monks.
she got the kill, and I guess this is kind of the nice thing. She got her cake and gets to eat it too here.
Yeah.
Killed the Banshee and didn't have to pay any major negative consequences for it.
Yeah, she's just getting away with it, especially with that initiative win, so Superfrog doesn't even get a chance to pick off those forward monks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm wondering how Superfrog approaches this. It looks like he's got 3 order markers on the Banshees and 1 on the Izumi, which is interesting. Because he can blitz with Banshees, but I feel like he needs Raylan in there if he has a prayer.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely just kind of go crazy glass cannon with the Banshees like what you were saying, but against monks, they're just going to get slaughtered. I mean, they're outnumbered and out-attacked there. So I see what you're saying with that need for Raylan.
Yeah, I think he started with 4 squads of Banshees, so if he had all 4 squads of Banshees left, then sure, maybe you can go with the numbers game a little bit more. But at this point, there's only 4 Banshees remaining against twice as many Shaolin monks, not to mention Master Lao Jin, who is also in the mix, who just doesn't care about Banshees because he's not common. Nice call from Dysole there.
You don't have to break your form at all. I mean, just keep the line. And Zedekron just has this perfect shell of protection back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zedekron is just
the
safe.
Banshees can fly over if they want to, but great move.
Yeah. And I think that's good recognition as far as recognizing how the flow of the battle is going and knowing that Superfrog's going to need to take a turn to roll up some more Banshees, and so she'll have time to take another shot with Zedekron. If that order marker was on the Shaolin monks, then she'd have the choice of either just passing the turn or moving into an awkward position. Or I guess you could do a little bit more positioning back in the start zone, but and 0 skulls for Zedekron, so poor Zedekron.
Banshee's going in.
Here we go. We'll see if they get that kill that Superfrog needs.
Oh man.
Yeah, not with that attitude, Banshees. Does get a kill on a Shaolin monk because they get an auto kill on a Shaolin monk, so that's nice. But yeah, that was not what Superfrog was looking for at all. Oh, now Dysole going for the...
Good move on the order marker 3. And here's the thing. I mean, with Dysole controlling this game number-wise with figures, I mean, Warnock actually comes into play here because either you have to kill a Banshee, which you don't want to do, or you have to kill an Izumi, which you don't want to do, or else you put a wound on Raylan, which you definitely don't want to do. So none of them are great options, but, I mean, that's a good move on Dysole's part there.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Using the numbers to her advantage.
Like, Dysole's in a good position for that. Like, I think that's another great point, because I think that's why it was a little bit of a less great play as far as Superfrog's attempt to take it was. I mean, the extra wound, let's see, he had it for 1 round, right?
1 round, correct.
And so, like, that one was nice, and that one was a bit safer. But the later time when he went for it just did not feel as good. And, yeah, Superfrog, the Banshees get slaughtered. He is going for... Oh, he does take Dysole off of Wannock.
No, I think it's interesting there. Obviously, things could change and go back to normal. Even though Dysole lost that monk there on the glyph and lost Wannock, there's that Izumi is now exposed and outside of Raylan's aura.
Yeah.
It definitely makes it a much safer target for Dysole to attempt to go after, whether it's with monks or whether it's with Zeticron.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Dysole, I mean, I feel like Dysole's just been controlling this game, really.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because because I was about to point out that it's interesting that Dysole's had such good control, because Zeticron has had a lot of failed attacks. But at the same time, Superfrog's had a lot of failed attacks as well, with, like, Brontos earlier, those Banshees going after Raylan, not being able to do a wound there either. So a lot of bad attacks, but I don't know, just Dysole so far has been able to pull off a really good advantage.
Yeah, I think she's just done a great job utilizing the fact that there are more monks on the board than bands. She's done a great job, using the numbers to her advantage, and really just kind of forcing Superfrog's hand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I mean, also, I think it's also worth considering, just something I'm thinking about now, is that, so Superfrog, I mentioned this earlier, but he's running the army that Dysole built.
Yeah.
Dysole is playing Superfrog's army because she offered to sit out the figures, like we mentioned earlier, because of the reverse draft format. So they're actually playing each other's armies. And Dysole is very notorious for making very difficult to play armies. And you can see this very much so in this Izumi Samurai, Banshee, Brontos, Raylan cluster of figures. I mean,
what's the term that Dysole has for those armies? Does she call them splash armies?
I don't think I don't think Dysole calls this a splash army. I guess it's a little. I think it's more of a toolbox. If I were to try to push up my glasses and try to assign a term to it, but that's also. I think that's Vegetarian who has the terms for all of the different kinds of armies, and that's more for a reverse the whip format as well. But yeah, I think she just calls them. I mean, she probably calls them fun time, or I dare you to try to play this, or...
I love it. See, that sounds like Dysole right there.
Yeah.
Look at this. Yeah, Zeticron just going crazy.
Another one.
Failing the attack, but Zeticron, I think, has honestly seen more order marker playtime this game than in most other matches where I've seen Zeticron.
Yeah, like, she's been playing into him a lot. And I think her plays have been great with Zeticron. She's had a lot of good opportunities. The timing has been good. I mean, like, this one was kind of Zeticron just in case she won initiative. Obviously, it would have been better if she'd known that she was going to lose initiative and then put the order marker on Lao Jin. But, you can't win them all. But, again, like, she had a good target. She made a good attack. It's just, Zeticron's been blanking. But I think also... just the presence of Zeticron has been able to do a lot of scare tactics and just dictating how the battle flows.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, just the fact that Zeticron is there has enabled Dysole to just sit in her start zone and really control the match. If Zeticron wasn't there, I mean, Dysole wouldn't have been able to force Superfrog's hand as much in the match.
Yeah, Super Hands Frog in the match.
Super Hands Frog, that's right.
That's what we're going with now.
It's just interesting because Superfrog really did have that great hold in the beginning, and things were going great until the push with Brontos there, and then Dysole just really started controlling.
Again, yeah, I totally agree. I think his initial, like, the first round and a half was great. But I don't know, and I don't know why, like, what happened. I don't know if he got nervous with Zedekon sniping. I don't know if he just really thought he couldn't win without one-shotting Raylan, like one or two-shotting Raylan. Although if he really wanted to two-shot Raylan, he should have had another order marker on Brontos. I don't know, I feel like he got very disjointed in his attack, and it's resulted in Dysole just being able to take a lot of advantages as far as engagements go. And she just killed, let's see, the first Izumi Samurai as well as a Banshee that had gone for Wanok again. I don't mind that Banshee going for both glyphs play because, I mean, superfrog kind of needs some swings and some good defense in order to win right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and it definitely does help the Samurai to go with 3 attack and 5 defense. I mean,
right.
Those are some solid stats for a 60-point squad.
Yeah, that's really good for superfrog right now. And, I mean, again, really, like, if superfrog's able to roll some defense, those Samurai could be the game changer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they could wipe out the monks pretty easily if the defense holds the way it needs to.
Yeah. Lao Jin is a little bit worrying because he does have a really good punch. Raylan's a little bit worrying because she's not as worried about Counter-Strike because if it comes to the point where Raylan's attacking, she has enough life that she's not too worried about Counter-Strike anyway. And Zedekron can run away as long as
and it's true. We also need
engaged.
to remember that the Izumi, they've left Raylan. I mean, they left what was the pod. And so now they're just kind of soloing it, just the two of them.
Yeah, I wish. And I guess now that I'm trying to think back about where the monks were positioned a little bit earlier. But I think there was an opportunity maybe like at the beginning of this round to run in Raylan and have her attack a monk and then follow up with the samurai, which I think might have been an ideal play. No, just to have her in there to kind of divvy up the attacks. But I don't know. And at this point, I'm not certain that that's like going to be the game changer.
But look, the samurai holds on there.
Nice. Way to go, samurai.
Now, if you look up at the top of the board, you've got that monk positioned behind the glacier. Mm-hmm. That would be, I mean, that's a pretty good position for that monk to stealth leap over and start punching Raylan.
Yeah.
Dysole is really gonna force Superfrog to scramble because you could have a monk attacking Raylan, you could have monks attacking Samurai, and then if you look down near the bottom, you've got a monk already sneaking up on the Banshee. So with 3 different places for order markers, it's really going to force Superfrog to scramble with what he has left. And it gives Dysole once again those options to continue just controlling where the battle happens and what happens in the game.
Yeah, I think that's just more of like Dysole just being able to push all of those advantages that she gained earlier in the game. Now being able to use the numbers to just be like, okay, I don't need to worry about having all of my monks in Raylan Zara now because you don't have enough figures to attack them all anymore. So
definitely. And I mean, even if Dysole doesn't push with those monks on top and then the monks down on the bottom, even if she doesn't push with them right now, they just provide some really good scare tactic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just keeping Superfrog on his toes, not quite knowing where the order markers need to be placed. Obviously, you know, Samurai are still a focus, and Raylan is going to be that focus. You're not going to put an order marker on the Banshee so much at this point, especially with there being only one, because you're not going to get that common kill ability. But we're still rocking. Still rocking.
Rocking a little bit less.
A little bit less. We're still going. We're still going. If we see some crazy... Oh, look. Okay. Dysole going for it.
Yep, going for that Raylan attack, going for that Banshee, going for that Shadow.
Going for everything. Monks are going. They're going places.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at that monk that she just moved back because Stealth Leap has a move of 3, right?
It's 3, and that was a 4 move.
Oh, that's actually an even better point. I hadn't even been paying attention to that, but yeah, so Lao Jin, in order to activate monks, he needs to have clear sight on them before they take the turn.
Oh.
And yeah, like she said, no way that she can draw clear sight to that one.
All right, then.
But I mean, that's a pretty...
That changes things a little bit, but it's not a game changer.
That just means he's not going to get an attack on Raylan this turn, which that's pretty minimal as far as the overall game goes.
Yeah, and I mean, even with controlling Wanok at this point, it's just a little bit of a clock. You know, we're just watching the clock tick down now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing I do like that Dysole is doing, or rather that Dysole is not doing, is that she's not attacking that Izumi Samurai with her Shaolin monks. Because, like we've mentioned it a couple times, the Samurai are Dysole's way back into this game, but if Dysole's not taking attacks that can get counterattacked very well, then you know that's just like solidifying her position a bit more. And I mainly I bring this up because I feel like I probably would be like, okay, I've got enough of a lead, I'll just start making attacks on the Samurai, and that's just a good way to like throw a game unintentionally by making poor attacks that can get counterstruck. When really all Dysole needs to do is make attacks on Raylin, wound her, let the Samurai take the wound from Wanok, and win the game.
Yeah, definitely. No, Dysole is doing a great job just, controlling all the loose ends of this game.
Mm-hmm. And she kills the Samurai anyway.
And one thing I will say for Superfrog, I mean, the second half of this game, obviously he's been reacting to what Dysole is forcing on him, but he's done a good job reacting. Like, I haven't seen any, like, crazy errors. The only other thing was what you mentioned, where he could have moved in Raylin earlier and gotten that attack. But aside from that, I mean, I haven't seen anything crazy bad, the second half of the game. He's done a good job, at least doing his best to react.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's definitely been playing catch-up the whole time. But I agree, as far as playing catch-up goes, I think he's been doing a pretty good job of it. Just hasn't quite gotten the breaks that he's needed in order to really come back and be relevant.
Very true.
But, I mean, hey, Knight of Scape's got faith in Superfrog. It's Raylin solo time. And, hey, all Superfrog needs is a few more turns like that from Dysole.
I know, right?
Or even better, just turns where he doesn't even take the one wound.
Better yet, he just needs to roll all skulls when he needs skulls and all shields when he needs shields.
There you go, yeah. Or just all skulls and all shields all the time.
Just all the time. Exactly.
Skull Ultra Instinct Raylin. That's still a good meme, right? Wait, walking for 2 leaving? Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, that's better than flying. I don't know why I thought flying would be better there.
And Raylin walks. She goes free.
Yea, though she walks through monks. Or around monks. And still doesn't get the wounds that he's looking for. I mean, it was kind of a long shot at this point to get enough wounds to seriously wound, if not kill, Lao Jin.
Alright, and then there's that Wanok hit coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So now, yeah, I mean, either 2 rounds left, but I mean, this next round is most likely going to be the game right here.
Yeah, most likely. We'll see.
I would be surprised if we see another round after this one.
And I think it'll be interesting if we do, because I mean, I kind of hope that Raylin pulls out all the stops, because I think that'd be awesome, especially because that's going to force some decisions on both Dysole and Superfrog's part, in that Wanok's got Raylin on a timer where she's got pretty much max 2 rounds to live unless a 1 is rolled, which means Raylin's going to have to risk a disengagement, which means lots of other stuff. But that's also, of course, assuming that Raylin gets to that point. Yeah. And Dysole just won initiative, so it's pretty likely that
Zetacron coming back. Holy smokes. That bot is on a roll this game. Even though he can't roll skulls, he is on a roll.
I love it. This is Zetacron's time to make up for the rest of the game.
Right? 2 for 2, let's see it. Maybe we're discussing line of sight.
Checking the line of sight really quick. Not to the 3 in question. The Raylin? Or is he talking about the monks? I think he's trying to bait Dysole into shooting her own monks. No, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved watching Zetacron dance around this much this game. Just because I feel like a lot of time when I see players using Zetacron, he goes down, before too long. He doesn't survive the whole game if you bring him out on order marker 1 of the game. But here we are, probably last round of the game, and he's still doing his thing.
Yep, still just running around and taking shots and missing.
And
hey,
missing.
and that's 2 hits on Lao Jin. Nice.
Raylin. Yeah. We may still see a Raylin on Raylin. Likely? No.
Let's do it.
Possible? Oh, yeah.
I am all aboard the Raylin v. Raylin train.
It's a good train.
Right?
One of the other favorite matchups, I love seeing Raylin v. Kilda matchups. I mean, you obviously don't see those. Like,
right.
But I think I've seen one like once. Oh, man.
Nice.
There we go. That's the game.
Yep, Zedekron finally put in some wounds. I think... Oh, I kind of want to go back and check. I think the only other damage Zedekron dealt during the whole game was killing one Banshee on turn 1. And then I think the rest of the turns, Zedekron just missed every shot.
It's interesting. Dysole did a fantastic job at keeping her monks alive. She's only down 3 monks, so she only lost 1 squad.
Yeah, she did a really good job just dictating the pace of the game, dictating the engagements. Again, kind of like we mentioned, Zedekron didn't really do a ton of actual damage in the game, but just his presence and the way that Dysole was using him. Yeah, it did a whole lot for the game in forcing superfrog to... I mean, I think that was maybe part of what made superfrog make some of those early decisions that were a bit more aggressive than, maybe they should have, if you ask me, a little bit more aggressive than they should have been, and then, losing Brontos so quickly. But I think it was really, really good play and zoning from Dysole going on there. And then, and not to knock superfrog, I think he played really well. I do think there were some mistakes, but I think... as far as trying to play, especially with this difficult-to-play army, I think he did really well in just keeping in the game until the end. I
mean, once he really started to lose momentum there, I mean, it's hard to stay in the game when the whole game is just slipping away from you.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah, I definitely agree with everything you're saying about superfrog's performance. I think commendable with what he was playing with. A couple of things definitely I feel like could have been done differently, but... it was kind of a janky, weird army he's running anyways.
Yeah.
That he was kind of...
Yep, definitely something you can thank Dysole for. I do like the army, though. I kind of want to play it, just not in a tournament setting, so that I've got nothing to lose.
No, I feel like we all have those armies where it's you definitely would love to bring it, and, there's definitely even those formats like Reverse the Whip, but it's I don't quite know if I want to bring this. Just in case.
Right. Yeah, it's got a lot of moving parts to worry about.
But it's just very interesting. I mean, looking back at the board, sorry, I keep going back to this.
Yeah, no worries.
I mean, almost that entire game, Dysole was just camped out in the start zone. Just had this great base going. But if you look at the end game position, I mean, complete map coverage. Both glyphs. She's got a squad of monks and Jin, all up in the middle, and Zedekron positioned. I mean, the perfect cleanup crew came out, and going from complete seclusion in the start zone, she now has complete board coverage at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. That's really, really impressive play from her. And just that recognition to know when to be more defensive and then when to move out. And I feel like in a lot of the Dysole games that I've watched, she just has really good map awareness and I think figure awareness, if that makes sense, in that she knows each unit's role, she knows how they affect the battlefield, and she knows how to use that battlefield to she knows that if she goes and blitzes in for the top of the hill, that just kind of lets things... it kind of becomes a coin flip of a game where it's okay, whoever gets the best rolls wins when they're just you're kind of getting even attacks against each other. But she had the awareness to know that, hey, if I just sit back with Zedekron, take some shots, I can disrupt superfrog's setup, I can make him come to me, I can put him into awkward situations, which is especially good with that awkward army that he was running.
Right? Well, man, good game. Good game, a crazy game with some interesting units, ones you definitely don't get to see very often in a tournament setting. But very, well played, very fun to watch match. Even though it ended up swinging that direction, Dysole's direction so strongly, Very
Yeah.
fun to watch. Definitely to get to see some of those units in action.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like, I think the ending makes it. I mean, it was a very solid win for Dysole, but I mean, just because she had a lot of figures on the board at the end doesn't mean that it was not an exciting game or that Superfrog played poorly. I mean, it was a really good game. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's fun when you can see the actual tactics of the battle just playing out that way. When the pushes are made, when the screens are being held. Very enjoyable match.
Yeah, definitely agreed there. Well played, Superfrog and Dysole. Assuming both of you are watching, which I think you will be, but very well played. And thanks for joining, Superfrog. This was a really good game to cast with you. I enjoyed it.
Definitely. I think you called me Superfrog. Someday I hope and aspire to be a man like Superfrog. But it's all good. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be able to get on and participate with 10 points under. The 10 points under. Yeah, definitely a pleasure. So thanks for having me again.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I hope to have you on again in the future. Scaperedude. We'll call you Scaperedude.
Scaperedude. See, I like that. I can work with this. It's like
I'll
I
give
feel
you a promotion.
closer to frog. There we go. I'm being promoted into my froghood. Well, hey, thank you so much.
Yep, for sure, my man. And thank you, viewers, for checking this out. Remember, this is a glorious world. And have yourselves a great day.